Laka.
How about them apples?
Episode 55. Got it down.
55. It's double nickels, and it's also the week of 44. Man, I am here for the 44 vibes.
The fact that we don't have a here for 44 shirt for you is a travesty.
But what we do have, so this is the thoughtful birthday gift from dear old mom. So this is the high school version of the sweater. Personalized.
That's fucking legendary.
Isn't that sweet? Look at the detail. Look at the detail on this.
Mom for the win.
She gave it to me on the boat. Look at even underneath the necktie. It's dope, man. It's down the sleeves. It's everywhere, man. It is everywhere. I was gonna put it in a frame, and then my kids talked me out of that. So I've actually been wearing it the last couple of evenings. So
you gotta just get a second one.
Well, so I like to play pond hockey. So our good friends Jill and Scott live next to the Masters on the Westlake side of Cazenovia Lake, but they have a pond. They have a great skating pond. It's like 16,000 square feet, and it's like a full-time job for like all of the dads on that side of the road. They bring their snow blowers out. They'll clear the whole path. They've made you would so appreciate this. They've turned a red what they used to call like those little wagons when you were a kid, like a red trolley wagon or whatever it is.
A radio flyer.
Right, thank you, radio flyer. So they've hooked it up where they put a 40-gallon cooler on the back of the radio flyer, and then they actually hose it down to a towel, and they've done a homemade Zamboni for Upper Pond.
That's fucking brilliant.
So, do you skate? I've never even asked you that.
Not well. I don't know. I used to skate like solid when I was like probably like 12 or 13. Literally haven't skated since then.
We gotta get you up here, man. Put a stick in your hands. So anyway, the point of my story was I'm gonna wear it on Upper Pond with the gloves and the whole thing. So that's the plan for November, December time.
You have to at that point. I mean, you can't have that and not rock it,
But as you can tell from the tan, I've been spending a lot of time on the water this week, and I did not get as much accomplished on the work front as I wanted to. But you know what? Sometimes you gotta downshift. Part of the process is you got to learn when to downshift and force yourself to downshift and give yourself permission to downshift. So it's been that, and I've probably slacked a little bit on the work side, which I'm not proud of. But you know what? You just get to pick it right back up next week.
Sometimes you need that, bro. Like I've been I had a pretty involved just therapy session with my guys at the incubator yesterday or the day before. It's just a weird time right now, because like, especially for us, it just kind of simultaneously, I mean, it's a lot of things, man. On one hand, there's this super exciting just sense of possibility and opportunity that's out there with everything kind of opening back up. But, probably 50% of our people have severe staffing issues, and where we're at with our clients, like any problem they have, like I take personally, because it's like our job to fix it. And like, we've been struggling on staffing for a while. And then a good friend of mine, he's like, dude, this is a fucking national thing right now. Like that's not a marketing problem. Like there are severe macroeconomic things in play here that you're just not in charge of, bro. So to kind of just stop and remind myself that I'm not marketing Jesus and I can't fix every problem every time has just been it's been a reflective week.
Yeah, no, it is a national problem. I can confirm that hypothesis. It is a national problem that, I'm not getting political when I say this, but when people are handed things, for a very, very long time, it's really hard to get that engine back up and revving. I was just talking to a client. She just got back from Aruba late last night. So she was kind of halfway in, halfway out today. And she was saying the same thing. She's like, I can't find anybody. So she literally had to unplug for a week just to get her mind off of it and fly to Aruba, just because she's freaking out so much about it.
Good place to get your mind off something.
Oh, she's a rock star, man. She knows how to do it right. She knows how to do it. I'll leave it at that. But yeah, no, I totally feel that. And it's not just in like food and beverage sectors. Like I was down at the place where we store our boat, and I went just to go say hi to the manager on my birthday when I checked out early. And I'm like, dude, how's the staff looking for this year? Because I like to figure out, I'm always writing a business plan in my head. I'm one of those guys. I like to know how things work, and so I'm like, hey, how's the staffing looking? He's like, bro, we can't find anybody that wants to work. Like not 16-year-olds, not 18-year-olds, not 21-year-olds, not 30-year-olds. Like nobody wants to work. And here's my son, who actually has a great work ethic. He worked at Toggenburg all winter long, changing out bindings. He's 15, but he can't work at Willowbank, the boat club, because it's 16 and over only. So it's like, I was like, can we make just one exception? We've been members there for like 9 years. But anyway, no, to prove your point, it isn't all peaches and cream. And yes, roaring 20s are just about upon us. And I think there's going to be a huge amount of opportunity for innovation and continuing innovation that happened during the pandemic, like we focused on last week. But I think it's going to be a real problem moving forward, that people are just going to be expecting a government handout for a very, very long time and indefinitely. And I think that's going to be a real problem for people.
Well, I mean, I think what's going to happen, because it goes through end of August. Mm-hmm. I think that it's going to be I never paid a whole lot of attention to economics classes throughout high school and college, but it's going to be a real interesting supply and demand curve, because there's going to be this kind of just flood, end July, beginning of August, of everybody trying to get back. And then, right, there's going to be a lot of people that are kind of left out hanging. So I don't know. It's weird because you don't want to push people and you want to be empathetic to that. Because we're fairly, as with most things during this pandemic, we haven't been impacted in our industry nearly as much as anybody else, and it's like stressful because you spend 50% of your conversations planning and, talking about what we're going to do to, squeeze juice out of the roaring 20s that are coming and how to set ourselves up for success. But then you spend the other 50% of your conversation like, hey, do we got enough people to be able to open on Monday? And it's just, I think one of the biggest things is just kind of stopping and just realizing the mental and emotional toll that takes. I don't think that's something that people kind of realize where, we've talked about it in different angles on the show numerous times, but, physically, you get used to it, but you almost get so used to being so mentally and emotionally on edge that you get numb to it after a while.
Yep.
And then you kind of look up and it's like, holy fuck, man.
Yep.
What's happening,
Yep. And that's part of my process of getting back to it. Cause I was more, to your point, I was more affected by it mentally than I thought I was, just because because it lasted so long. And I'm not saying it's over, but to a lot of people it is. But that becomes your norm because you've been in it so long. It was 16 months until, from what was that, like March 14th, 15th, 16th area of last year. Yep. Until I got vaccinated, a month ago. So for me, it's like, oh, wait a minute. Like I was turning down invitations to go to like restaurants or to people's houses and stuff. And I'm like, wait a minute, why am I feeling this way? And I actually was starting to build some anxieties around it. And it was super, super, like it's one of those things where when I used to have super high blood pressure, and I've had my well-documented crash, 4 years ago, she goes, you didn't realize you had, and then I took that first like pill and my blood pressure came down from like 190 to like 140 where it's supposed to be or whatever it is. And I'm like, this is like a new normal for me. Like I had this huge tension in my head that had just, basically bled out essentially. And she's like, yeah, this is your new normal. Like I felt slow. Like I felt like I was in like a funk because I just didn't have this like super, super high energetic feeling in my head. And she's like, yeah, your head was about ready to explode off your body. So, but no, it's like I got the haircut for the first time. I sat in the chair for the first time this week. I went out and had a slice of pizza, like after a ball game. Siobhan's like, I really don't want pizza. I'm like, this is all part of me getting back into it. Like you go to a ball game with your kid, then you go get a slice of pizza and a pint of beer. Like you sit in the restaurant, you know, what's that?
So it goes without saying.
Yeah, no. And it was like, I sat there in the corner booth of like the local pizza place. And I was like, you can just take joy. You can take joy in so many small things now. Like sitting down, it sounds so stupid, but it's true. Sitting down, having a great pint of beer with a mediocre slice of pizza at best in a cool atmosphere. And I'm looking around like, hey, this is pretty dope, you know? So, but to your point, I'm literally forcing myself to go out, go to the stores, go shopping, go to the mall, go, you know, all these different places to retrain myself to be like, hey, this is what you did before and everything was fine. You don't have to worry about it until the next global pandemic, which we won't see for another 100 years.
Yeah, no shit, dude. It's funny. Like I've caught myself like 3 or 4 times just in the last 2 days. Like people are out, like outdoor seating is buzzing. You see the bottom half of your server's face for the first time in a year and a half, you know, forgot what people look like after a while. And it's just like, huh, you know, you just kind of have that little like inflection point, but then it just instantly goes to like, okay, back to everything else that we had to focus on before. And it's just, you can feel that it's a kind of pivotal transitional moment. You know what I mean? Like the ship is like aiming the cannons back to what we were aiming them at before. And then you just remember everything else that kind of came with that. And it's just like, all right, here we go.
Yeah. And I think for me, the perspective has been, you know, it's like my kids always razz me. They're like, Dad, I think we talked about it last week. Like, Dad, like quit. They're not on yet, but I'll break the surprise. I got 35-inch tires for the Jeep with the rims, and it's going to look just boss hog. And I'm so excited. And
wait, 35-inch rims?
No, 35-inch tires on 20-inch rims.
Oh, Jesus, dude. I'm like 35-inch rims.
No, you wouldn't be able to get in the thing.
I'm saying, bro.
No, they're coming in on Monday. There was a shipping delay because, of course, there's a shipping delay. But I got down to it, and the kids were like, Dad, like, you know, they're 15 and almost 13 now. They're like, Dad, just shut up and do it. Like, what are you doing? Like, you've been sitting here researching this for 3 years. Like, I bought new sneakers for myself. Like, I hate spending money on myself. It's like my least favorite thing. I hate talking about money about myself or spending money on myself. But I'm like, you know what? F it. Like, let's start 44 off right. And I swiped a credit card and I go, I love my 2 toys more than like anybody I know. And I use my toys more than like anybody I know. So the kids are finally like, Dad, just shut up, quit researching it, go into the GD store and buy the tires that you want. And I was like, you know what? I got to start doing more of that. I'm not talking about being selfish or anything like that, but like going to the concert in Miami that you always wanted to go to, like flying to, you know, like it's always been our dream to like go to Hawaii with the kids, like just like freaking go to Hawaii, like stop talking about it. You never know what's going to happen. I know this is, you know, very 30,000 foot viewish, but it's like, just go freaking do all the things that you wanted to do. Because one of the things that this thing has showed me is like, oh my God, like they literally told us to stay home for a year. Like that happened to us. It was like, and it came out of nowhere, you know, like in the beginning, it was like, oh yeah, we're going to be home for 2 weeks and we'll all be back after spring break. Like that was the narrative. And then we're still sitting at home 52 weeks later. It's like, man. And I'm not saying spend all your money. I'm not saying any of those things, but as long as the experience is there, man, like go freaking make memories. That's what I'm talking about.
Well, and that's where like we've been talking about it a lot. you know, where like your like happiness should be your metric, whatever that is, right? And like you, like, dude, I know you know, getting those updated rims for your Jeep, like that's going to bring joy to your life
every day.
You've also busted your ass for the last well, I mean, your whole life, you know, but like specifically for you, you know, the last 5 or 6 or 7 years to put yourself in a position where financially you can do that.
Yep.
You know, and like it's not gonna like hurt your ability to pay your mortgage or feed the kids or so like, yeah, man, like fucking do it. Like you dying with a little bit more money in your bank account isn't gonna fucking help anybody. Like just do it, you know, and it's just like it looks so different for so many people, you know, and that's another thing that came up when we were talking about it at the incubator yesterday. We're just like, what are you saving for, right? Like, what are you working at a job you hate for? Like, you're going to waste the 30 best years of your life so that you can do nothing when you're 60 and can do something like, huh? Mm-hmm. You know, like if you hate your job, like do something else. Like,
yeah.
And it's just, it's crazy. Like, cause like Dave was like making fun of me for like the very same reason. Cause much like you, I don't spend money on anything. I don't like, I like eat out because I don't have time to cook at home. That's the biggest expense on my thing.
Yep.
And then like, I was like fucking around like a month ago and I'm like, I might buy a new car, man. And like 3 days later, like I told him I got it. Right. And I'm just fully transferring and converting to Ben 2.0 too, you know, but like, you know, why? Like you did the math, right? You know, you can afford it. And then in the back of your head, you're like, okay, it's brand new. It's reliable. You're not going to be on the way to a huge meeting or a huge whatever and have something happen. Like, okay, cool. Mm-hmm. You know, would it be nicer to have a little bit more money in my bank account at the end of every month? I mean, sure, but what's it affecting? Right. And I fucking love it too. It's sick, man. But I think that's a great example. Yeah. And it's not talked about enough. You know, everybody talks about like fucking like getting promoted at work or like how much they make and whatever. And I'm like, great, dude, your kids are going to be psyched when you die at 52 for a heart attack because your blood pressure is 300 over 200. You know, and it's just like, if that's like the one biggest takeaway that I took out like the last year for like a lot of reasons, like you don't know what's going to fucking happen tomorrow, man. Like, what are we, you know, like do the shit you want to do.
I was talking to my kids. I've been really focusing on, because Taven just turned 15 last week. Paige will be 13 June 10th. So I'm thinking about it. It's like, number one, they're not going to be here very much longer. Number two, what do they want to do in their lives? And I'm not saying I would ever, you know, force them into doing anything. Very much the opposite. I asked them, I said, what do you want to do? And I'm like, I will support you in any way. Like I've been super focused on that for probably like the last 3 to 4 weeks. And Paige is, she's super simple. Like she knows she wants to work in film in some capacity. Like this kid will sit down and knows, like we've talked about, we sat down and watched the entire Marvel catalog together over the last, 4 months. And I'm like, man, I really wish I had done that before I went and saw Avengers Endgame 2 years ago in the theaters. Everything would have made a lot more sense. But the way she can deconstruct storytelling in those movies, she's like, oh, she'll like pause the movie and she'll see something like on a shelf behind the guy. And she'll be like, see, this is going to come up in the episode where this. I'm like, holy cow. So for her, we've been researching online filmmaking schools, just at like summer camp stuff, like every Saturday. So like NYU has like a film school that does like all, you just need like a camera like I have when I used to do my vlogs and all that kind of stuff. So she can just do everything on there, download a simple editing app and use my computer. Like she's easy. Taven's a little bit more of a complex creature when it comes to that. But my point of my saying that is, I told him at the end of both of those conversations, because I've been asking a lot of questions, I said, I am so jealous that the two of you are growing up when you're growing up. And they were like, why? I'm like, because when I was 16, 17, 18 years old, the only thing that mattered was what hat you were going to put on to what college you were going to choose to and how prestigious that college was. Like, that was it. There was no other discussion about, it was the kid that took shop class that ended up turning a wrench at 18 years old, who you made fun of. That guy looks like a friggin' genius right now because he doesn't have $240,000 in college debt. Like, that guy is the freaking genius. Like, I told my kids, I'm like, learn how to turn a wrench, learn how to be an electrician, learn how to be a master plumber, learn how to work with I don't care what you do, but if you want to make some serious money out of, not even going to college and just start putting it away in your bank account now, like, go freaking do it. But I said, listen, you guys are growing up in a culture that does not force you to go to the most expensive, prestigious school. You can do anything. If you started editing and putting together vlogs and short films and things like that now, it takes one tweet with a 30-second clip of your short film to the right studio, and you get picked up. Like, that was never a thing when I was 13, 14, 15 years old. I was collecting baseball cards and playing, Super Nintendo. But if I had, I told him, I said, if I had streaming back then, if Twitch was a thing back then, when I was playing like freaking Tecmo Super Bowl and Zelda and all that stuff, like, I would have been a freaking pro, man. I would have kept going. So it's the opportunity is what I'm trying to get at. The opportunity that when you walk across that stage, you probably can walk right into that career. If you want to go work for our boy Gary V and do content creation on Instagram and TikTok, guess who's going to be better at it? The 44-year-old dude in upstate New York, or the 18-year-old that just walked off the platform and is way better at it than dear old dad anyway. I'm super jealous of my kids.
Well, yeah, and like, I mean, we've talked about it a bunch, how the pandemic has accelerated that, but it comes clear every day. There's just no rules on how to be successful anymore.
Right.
You're 100% right. Like, I was probably the last generation.
Yep.
That if you didn't go to college, you were a fucking loser.
Yep.
Even if you went to community college for 2 years first and then to your 4-year school, then you were a fucking loser. Right. Never mind the fact you just saved 30 grand right there.
Right.
For the same intro level education, but I digress. And it's, it's interesting. You see it now. 30, like, people like that are my age, like early 30s. It's a fucking weird time because you're starting to see kind of left and right the fruits of everybody that did what they thought they were supposed to and the results that it's bringing.
Yep.
And it sucks, man. It's heartbreaking in some cases. You got people with law degrees or medical degrees or engineering degrees that put them 6 figures in debt that they fucking hate, and, they're drinking themselves crazy or, have massive depression issues or stuff like that. Or, the people that got married and had kids because they thought they were supposed to be married and have kids, to somebody that they shouldn't be married to or have kids with. And it's just like, you're 100% right, dude. Like, I'm like, my goddaughter will be 11 this December, my godson's 6. So all the little ones are just starting to like get a taste of what kind of human they're going to turn into. And you're right, man. I'm so pumped for them.
Yeah.
And that's why, like, anytime, like, I'll talk to my God, I'm like, what made you the happiest this week? What'd you learn in school? I don't give a fuck what grade you got in social studies. Mm-hmm. You might hate social studies, you got a 3 in history instead of a 5. Great. It's all right here. You don't need to know that if it's not what you're going to do.
Right.
And it's fascinating to think about what the next 10 to 15 years of their lives are going to look like, because like I think about it for me, like this May, actually tomorrow will be 10 years I graduated college. you know, and I think about what the world looked like then. You know, there's people, I remember, I keep a list in my head that you can never, no one in Binghamton's going to pay you to post on Facebook. Instagram wasn't even a thing for them then. You know, and you just think about that, it's like, fuck, what are these kids going to do?
Yeah.
You know, like it's just, it's wild, man. It's super exciting because it's just busting with opportunity. But there's also a small part of it that really scares me because, like, any amount of good, there's an equal bad side.
Yeah.
You know, and there's a different set of things that you have to kind of prepare them for. So I don't know, man. It's a super unique time right now.
I love it because I'm now starting to look at them in a different light. Like, you know, Taven we talked about it a lot. He's like, he goes, so when you're talking to a Young Thugs manager, like what does he do? And I tell him, I'm like, he does everything from getting him coffee to getting him lined up to doing brand deals, to doing, you know, negotiate label deals, you know, book flights, you know, like all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
I'm like, why do you ask? He goes, that sounds kind of cool. You get to go to like all the concerts, and I go, well, yeah, you have to, you kind of like have to be there. I said, I think it's probably a very high stress job. You know, I think it's probably not, especially managing egos of that size. You know, it's probably really, really tough. But I go, do you want me to set up a call with Thug's manager and you can just ask him some questions? He's like, you can do that. I go, I talk to him every week. I go, if it's something that you're into, absolutely. And he's like, oh, so he's kind of like marinating on that. I don't think he expected that answer when I gave it back to him. So I think he's going to marinate on it. It might be too big of a conversation for him, but no, I can see my daughter. Like I can literally, the first thing when she said that about filmmaking was, I absolutely 100%, the first image that came into my mind was attending a premiere of a film that my daughter directed. Like I can see that. I can see her being like a female Marvel filmmaker. Like I can see that happening, like with no reservation whatsoever. But no, man, I agree with you. It is just, the opportunity is just incredible. It is all right here. And I'm the same way. I'm like, you know, some people get upset. It's like, oh, I got an 81 on a math test. It's like, I'm like, let me look at the math. So I look at the math. I'm like, you're never going to use that ever. Like ever. I can ask Alexa or Siri to calculate those numbers for me. And that's what they do already, you know? So to me, it's like, keep your grades up high enough so you can stay on the field, you know, so you can have fun with your play football and play softball. But the rest of it, it's like, so much of it is just minutia, you know, like we're just starting to teach them life skills. Like we're letting Taven drive a little bit because he has a year before he can get his license, like teaching them about like your credit scores and teaching them about like bills and like how to like get a mortgage and stuff like that. Like that's the important part. But in terms of like professional development and all that kind of stuff, man, people are like, oh, social media, this and this. I'm like, no, please use it more. Please use it, know it. And if you love it, you can make money doing anything on there. You know, I mean, you're the prime example. I'm like, look at Adam. I'm like, literally 10 years ago, he's like, yeah, I'm going to do this. I'm like, he literally built a business out of saying, yeah, I think I could be pretty good at putting pictures and videos and written words on Facebook. And you've built a freaking business around it. It's amazing.
Easy peasy.
Nice sweatshirt, by the way. I have a bone to pick with you, though. Where's mine? Where's mine?
It's coming.
All right.
Yeah, man. It's long sleeve. I'm sweating my ass off. It's 90 degrees. I'm like, I got it. I'm like, I'm wearing it for the show. I don't care. Yeah, they sent us some cool stuff. I'll show you.
I can't wait.
But no, I think that's, I mean, like, look at your shit, man. Like if I like sit down, like, hey, like people ask me on the show, they're like, what does Ben do? I'm like, if I told you, you wouldn't believe me. Because you wouldn't, because it doesn't make any sense. I mean, it does, but like, it's like your job is one of one. Yeah. Like when you look at your job description, and I don't say that facetiously, like I genuinely think that might be true. You know, but it just like the small taste of it on like the shit that we work on together. Like I had a possible new client come in this week, And like, I mean, I have the stuff all over the office and stuff like that. So he's like asking me about it. And it's become so casual to me because we're so deep in it all the time that even I like kind of forget just how wild and how cool it is.
Yeah.
You know, whether it's the strut stuff, whether it's the giver stuff, all of that.
Yep.
You know, and they're just like, huh? And I'm like, yeah, man, like it's just how shit works now.
It's been so much fun because I'll spike the football for a quick minute. There's a can kicking around. I don't think it's within arm's reach. I would show it to you. But one of my favorite parts of the day is when my daughter gets home and she goes, because she knows I'm on this stupid phone. And by the way, I hate talking on the phone, but it's become my life. She goes, what cool phone calls did you have today? But yesterday she goes, did you get any cool? Because I get packages all the time. I get samples 4 days out of 5 usually. She goes, what samples came today? I go, DMX. She goes, yeah. I go, we're making an energy drink for him for Rough Riders record label. And she goes, the DMX. I go, yeah, the guy that just died. And she goes, did you ever listen to his music? I'm like, from 1997 to about 2003, it was a steady diet of Dre, Snoop, and DMX. Like that was just it for me. So the fact that I talked to the CEO and the co-founder of Rough Rider Records, his name's Joaquin. He's an incredible dude. Like I talked to him last week and it was so casual because one of my flavor houses is like, hey, I think you'd be good for this DMX project. I'm like, what project is that? And he told me they're doing charity rides around the country. I don't know if you know Rough Riders and DMX, like the whole.
I've heard of them, Ben.
No, I know. I mean like the whole, like the souped up trucks and Jeeps and the whole thing. Like that's what they do. Like that. That's what they do. And they like take over like a city and they just freaking do like these huge parades. So now that he's gone, they're going to do charity rides so it'd be like Atlanta or Jacksonville or whatever like that. But this energy drink is we're going to serve it at these events to get everybody hyped up, like literally get them jacked up. So, but it was just to your point, like it was just, I sometimes you just lose perspective because the fact that I can say out loud to my daughter, yeah, I just got DMX's energy drink delivered to me, like before anybody else has ever had it. It's just like, it's stupid. And oh, by the way, my HH Bespoke client, who also owns Harlem Haberdashery, which is a very high-end clothing boutique, actually did DMX's final resting suit. And went to, like, that's what she does. She outfits like LeBron and Beyonce and Jay-Z and like Derek Jeter and DMX. And it's just like, it's just stupid is what I'm trying to say.
It is.
It's just stupid.
It doesn't make any sense, but it's fucking awesome.
I lose perspective. It's like, somebody asked me the other day, I was like, what do you do for a living? I'm like, oh, I work with celebrities to help, get their beverages to market. Oh, who? And, I go down the list and it's like, how do you draw the line between A and, like, how did you get here? And it didn't start that way, nor did I think it was going to go that way, but it just happened. I just ask a lot of, I just talk a lot and ask a lot of questions. That's what I do.
Well, the other thing is that I've never seen another human in my life. And I'm not just saying this because you're my boy and we're on the show. I've never seen another human in my life have a bigger why not attitude than you. Mm-hmm. You genuinely assume everything can be done, everything can be made to happen, everything I can help do that. And I think that's a huge part of it. So many people come up with 37 reasons to say no for somebody before they even ask them the question.
Yep.
And I think that's a huge part of it. Like it's anytime one of those things comes up in here, that's the first question people ask. How did you get that? And I'm like, what do you think we do here, bro? Like,
yeah.
But it's wild, man.
You know what? It took me 20 years to get to this point. And when I was in college, I was bartending at a margarita bar called the Stoop in Armory Square. Best place ever. Best hole in the wall hideout ever. And I was making pretty good money. But I was getting ready to graduate from Lemoyne in 2001. And I had two very, very good customers that came in and saw me every Friday night. And he goes, "You're graduating soon, aren't you?" I go, "Yeah, a couple weeks." He goes, "Well, what are you going to do?" I go, I guess I got to get a job now. He goes, "Oh, I work for this, telemarketing, or not telemarketing, but telesales company in North Syracuse. Why don't you come in for an interview?" And I go, "Okay," because that's what you did. You stopped bartending and you stopped waiting on tables. You graduated, then you get a 9-to-5 job. Like literally, that is what you do back 20 years ago. So I sat down and Siobhan goes, "What are you going to do?" I'm like, I guess I got to go to this interview. So I get all dressed up for this interview. I walked in to the foyer, and I'm not joking when I say this. I literally started sweating buckets. I felt so freaking uncomfortable. I was so embarrassed that I sat down in the interview. I remember the woman's face, but I can't remember her name. I was wearing a blue button-down shirt, like it was like the first big boy shirt I ever owned. You could see black sweat stains from here to here on underneath both arms. That's how uncomfortable I was. I got the job. I was horribly embarrassed. I still got the job, and I was there for 2.5 years, calling Minnesota, Wisconsin, Illinois, North Dakota, and South Dakota, calling technology companies trying to sell them refurbished switches and modules. I did that for 2.5 years. I was the most miserable version of myself I have ever been in my entire life. So then we got married 2.5 years later. I told my wife, I said, "I am never, ever, ever going to do that again. I can't. It's going to kill me." Like you said, I will be 52 and just dead if I continue to do that. So I quit my job 2 weeks before our wedding. That's when we decided to move to Houston. And that's when I got into the hospitality industry. I started working at country clubs, food and beverage director. And it just felt right that, yes, even though it was a job, even though I wasn't an entrepreneur at that point, but I started picking up entrepreneurial tendencies. But I instill a lot of the mindset that you're describing into my country club manager in Houston. And basically he said, there's nothing we can't do but it was for the guests. It was for the members of the club. Like they say, "All right, I'm having our 7-year-old's birthday party. I want ponies. I want bounce houses. I want a jet plane. I want this and this." Guess what? Go rent a jet plane. Go figure it out for your member. Like there was no way we were going to say no to a member. So I think that's kind of where it got installed. But the point of my story is, man, it's just too short. And these kids growing up now, they know they don't have to do that. They know it. And they have zero tolerance for anything that they don't want to see. I've told this story 100 times. I'll finish by saying this. My kids can't even sit through a 5-second pre-roll ad on YouTube. They will literally X out of the YouTube video and go to the next FaZe Clan video because they have no patience for it.
Dude, I use your kids all the time in pitches because that's the story I tell. I was like, "Well, we're just going to do this." And I'm like, "Good luck 3 years from now." A, because you're right, that generation does not have patience for it. And B, every generation above them gets more and more like them every day.
Yeah.
So if you have literally, I think it's 3.2 seconds, yep. Whether it's a post, whether it's whatever, you have 3.2 seconds. It's probably lower than that now, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
To get somebody's attention. And like, that's not even the world we're going to live in anymore. That's where we're at now, brother.
It ain't going away. It's only getting worse or better, depending on how you look at it.
Yeah, better have a good marketing agency.
Oh, we're very lucky to do what we do, Mr. Sable.
That's what I tell myself every morning.
I have to go to a softball game. Today is my daughter's first modified sporting event ever. So she gets to wear the Casanova jersey for the first time ever. So we are excited about that. Taven's baseball team is ranked number 1 in Section 3. They are 8-1 heading into sectionals, and He's playing a little outfield for the varsity team, and he'll be horribly embarrassed for me to say this, but he is fifth in batting average and slugging on the team as a freshman on the varsity team. So,
is that good?
Proud dad moment for both.
That's what's up, dude.
So that is episode 55, whether it be 44 or 55. Quit your job if you hate it. You can make money doing anything. Start your side hustle. Put down the Marvel remote and go to YouTube and say, how do I make money doing this? And watch videos.
Yeah, dude, bartend if you want to bartend. Bartenders make no money. And most bartenders love it. If you love it and you're making good money, what is there to figure out? End of story.
That's the punchline. I was making twice as much money bartending and serving as I was at sitting in that.
Like I was talking, I know we got to go. Like literally that exact conversation came up. They're a bartender, they make good money, they love doing it. And I'm just like, where's the problem here? And then just this look comes over their face. Huh.
It's because we've been trained to think you're supposed to do this because everybody cares about what everybody else thinks instead of making themselves happy.
Fuck them. They don't know.
Oh, we got to clip that. Are we ever going to start clipping these things?
100%. 100%. I got plans. I got to tell you about it.
All right. I'm going to end the Facebook Live. I'll stay on for 2 minutes with you.
Oh.
55's over. Bye.
See ya.